Nice job making it through 1A. Let's keep it rolling on to 1B. So let's apply this vocabulary that we've been learning with parts of an expression and operation words. So we've got an expression here, an algebraic one. The first question it asks for us is how many terms are in the expression? And there are 3. I know this because they're separated by the addition and subtraction sign. So when I look, 2x is one term, y is another term, and 4 is the third term. So we got 1, 2, 3. And again, only looking for separation by addition and subtraction signs. The 2x is one whole term because it's really saying 2 times x, and terms are only separated by addition and subtraction signs. Okay? Moving right along, list all the variables. So these are all of the letters that are in place of that unknown number. So we have x and y. Those are our variables. Pretty easy. Okay? The next one, though, is coefficients. I'll explain that one here in a second. But coefficients, remember the numbers being multiplied to a variable. So this one, for example, is 2 times x, so 2 is the coefficient. Now the sneaky one is this 1, okay? This is in front of the y. Now I know you don't actually see it, but that y could not exist if there wasn't at least one of it, okay? And so when you see a variable, the coefficient will always be 1 in front of it unless you see a number in front of it. So like for 2x, for example, 2 is the coefficient, but for y, 1 is the coefficient because there has to be one of it for it even to exist. It can't be 0 because then the y wouldn't exist if there's 0 y's, but there's at least one of it, so 1 is the coefficient there. However, if there was a number in front of y, then that means I'd be taking that number times y. And if you think about it, 1 times y, that's just the same as y. Just like 1 times 5 is the same as 5. Okay, so whenever you see a variable, there is always a coefficient. Either the number you see or it's 1. Okay, so just remember that. That's a little bit tricky. All right, then it says to circle the constant. I want you to try that real quick on your own. See if you can do it. The constant is 4, right? That minus 4 is that constant because there's no variable with it. It just stands alone by itself. Okay? All right, couple more. This is a numerical expression we're looking at. And we're not worrying about simplifying it. We want to look at the individual parts of it. So it says, what part of the expression represents the product? Product means multiplication. So what part of this expression represents multiplication? It's 8 times 4. Okay, you could technically say it's 32, but we want to look at the expression originally the way it is, and so we want 8 times 4. That part of the expression, like if I put a box around it or something, that would represent the product because we're multiplying those numbers together. Okay, moving on, it says what part of the expression represents the difference? So now difference means subtraction, and if I look, the difference is 2 minus 8. Now again, if you were to actually continue to solve it, you could technically say 2 minus 32, but if I look at the expression as is, I really want to look at the pieces, and 2 minus 8 is really what I'm looking for. But you would be correct by saying 2 minus 32 as well. Okay? All right, the last part, very important. We want to know what are the factors in this expression. We have talked about factors before, but just to refresh your memory, factors are the numbers that you multiply together. So, to back up for a second here, okay, if I was looking at this one and wanted to list the factors, 2 and x would be factors because I'm multiplying 2 times x. That's another way to say it. Instead of just reading it as 2x, I could say 2 times x. Or like this one. I have y, so I could say 1 times y. So 1 and y are my factors. But this one doesn't have any variables. I'm just looking for the two numbers being multiplied together, which are 8 and 4. So 8 and 4 are my numbers. So do you see how I wrote that differently? This represents the product, so I wrote 8 times 4. But when I'm talking about the factors, that already tells me multiplication. I want to know what the actual factors are, which is 8 and 4. Okay? All right, so you have a quick check to go grab. If you need to go back and look at anything, feel free, but otherwise, move on to that quick check that you need to get from me. Good luck.